we start off with the dollar that's under pressure. We had a nice ride from the lows. I'm thinking that we go back to the scene of the crime in case you're not a detective. Scene of the crime was a stop hunt under this low. It was 96.37. Okay, so I'm figuring between here and 96.20-ish in there that I'll try it, risking the low of the move. It's a decent probability. The only thing that bothers me, like on a lot of these bottoms, like we have in crypto, they're confirmed. So there was no divergence down here. But even though that's the case, you could still put in a higher low. So I'll be looking for a higher low here and for another rally back to the upside, and I'll risk this low. If I pay 630, 620, I'll risk 550. And then if it takes me out, we start to see divergences, I'll recommit. So the end was a great trade last night. I didn't put them on. It's the same with the dollar. Uh, you know, say I missed it. I didn't react, and then it was, 50 off the high, but it went right to within 10 pips of 78.6, something I talked about on Maggie's show. So here was a 78.6, and we're breaking. Um, I have to wait for some kind of bounce. Maybe it happens when the dollar recovers, but this very well could be a failing rally, which also says there's going to be some great trades in the euro yen crosses on the short side. Canada under pressure. I'm expecting it to hold, around this 35.20 level. So, tomorrow's going to be pretty key. Again, Canada confirmed on the daily, and we had a little divergence, but under 30, which is not ideal. I now want to cover what I see happening in silver. Okay, this I think could be a pretty big trade. A lot of people are thinking this is a bottom, and it could be. But with the dollar action, let's say the dollar bottoms, then we get a pullback for a third drive. So I'll be looking for a third drive here in silver. When we come to NASDAQ and S&Ps, so far no follow through, but sure feels like they want to squeeze to new highs here. NASDAQ never looked as good, looks heavier. So we'll see what happens there. Let's take a look at some of the components. Okay, so it's interesting that this semiconductor index, Friday's high was 61.8. The Mag 7 really did nothing. Okay, so they're just hovering around the breakdown. NVIDIA's getting some follow through. I guess they're going to squeeze people. Maybe they're going to take it back to the 96 region. And see what Apple's doing. Apple having a hard day. This could be a failing rally in Apple compared to where we were. Okay. Or, yeah, this could be a B. Anyway, I'm not doing anything with that. Let's quickly cover crypto, because Thursday in the room, I had a buy in Ethereum, and it happened on the 30-minute chart. It was this final drive down here, bought it, was it final drive down here, and I sold it yesterday. Is that a new low? Let's see. No, here we were. So this was where the divergence was, and we already had this rally, so you have to look at it from here. We had 30-minute divergence. So some traders are asking me, are we going right to new lows? And we could, but I think it's more likely as oversold as it is that we get a higher low for a B and then a C, similar in Bitcoin, confirmed low, but it's pretty oversold. I don't know why we can't get a rally back into the 80s on a pullback. This was 12 grand, so 12 1.618. Yeah, from about 64 if we pull back here, that we get a rally back towards 80. I know a lot of people are calling 82 was a breakdown of a head and shoulders top. I saw some analysts talking about that. Let's see if yeah. So this is what they're talking about. So that's going to be a neckline, and it should serve as resistance as we get back up to it. Let's see where it comes in. Yeah, 82, 83, right in there. That's going to be key for Bitcoin. I think it's going to reject it. So, if you're playing a counter trend, that's where you go to register. I already took partial profits in Ethereum. Okay. Um, that's the weekly. Just on this little pop here from the low that we had down here at 1700. So it's good for about three. And I do want to cover energy. There's still talks going on. So, I wouldn't add, but the fact that there's still hope and talks, I still think you have to buy pullbacks. The next pullback range is right here. This is going to be an important area if we get a pullback in crude to 60 and a half and then use a money management stop. So, I've been long from lower and pitching and trading and taking partials. So I still believe in the $78 scenario, but we'll see what happens. I wouldn't add here. It's no man's land, but I would add on a pullback down here. Nat gas getting pummeled again. Don't trade it, especially if you're over 60. I don't think ARP will allow senior citizens to trade nat gas, hazardous to your health. And I think that's about it that I wanted to cover. We'll be also keeping an eye on the peso. Maybe we get one more low in USD, but I do think eventually there's going to be some type of turn here and we could rally back to about 18 and a half. This breakdown was real big. This was real big, 1820 to 1850. So we've had a tremendous decline. So, just a bounce to 1850 really is very conservative target. So I'll be stalking that too. Um, yeah, I bought some marijuana stocks. Bought Curl Friday. I liked the weekly candle that we had here, getting a little follow through. Potentially, we get on the weekly, we diverge. Maybe we get one more run up towards $6. Here's the daily. So the second drive on the daily is confirmed. So I'm thinking we get a run up there for a three. And that's going to be a wrap for today. Good hunting. Sometimes you have to just wait for your trades to come to you. This is what I used to do. I didn't have the patience, and I would say to myself, "Well, Dale, if you think you're going to be able to buy the silver at 60, why don't you short it here and write it down?" Because that's not the trade, and there's no guarantee we're going to go to 60. The trade is should we get to 60? But I used to do that. Go, oh, I'll write it down. I'll have, better cush to try and bottom pick it down here. But that's not the trade. Learn that. Don't trade when you have a target or an entry level. Trade the market to that level. Don't do that. Just wait for your level and then execute at your level. And more than that, come and join us in our room. There's a lot of great posting going on. A lot of guys have Substacks here, and we have authors in the room, traders that they write about their stuff. So really think that you would benefit from being in here. There's really Mike's stuff going on. Hugo woke up to a winning trade. Okay, check it out. So these are contributions from Mike and other members. So keep an open mind and this is a great place to do some intelligence gathering. There's no pressure to buy anything. Not trying to get you to take a trial. Just come in here and share what you see. And also, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone